Okay, it's recording.
So basically, to kind of build on your point from last time, Ryan, is like really that how it's jumped off the deep end in
The
this
deep,
last
deep end.
season. It is
It's deeper.
so absurd because and you know what's
I'm thinking
crazy
deeper.
is that I remember initially, did you guys play that Flash game? It was online for a good minute where it was just you as a scout and you
Oh, I saw
basically are
screenshots of it.
flying. Yeah, and you get to fly through the city just like you're
Yeah.
on the EDM
Yeah.
gears like that, right? And that was what the world was, right? That's
That's
all
it.
we knew about the world. We had
You're
no
inside
fucking
walls.
context to say that.
Titan's bad.
Giant
Negan's good.
monsters were coming out of nowhere. They look like they might come from something, and now we have guns, like artillery and blimps.
Was that
The
were
whole
guns
world's changed.
introduced in season 2? That's where they got a little closer to Reiner and all them. Season 3, I think, is where the guys inside the walls were after they were after Levi, the guy's like uncle or something that taught him everything.
Yeah, right.
I think that's when real guns were introduced.
So they always had rifles ever since the very beginning because they used hunting.
But they didn't have like actual handguns that like did anything useful.
Those for like the people hunters rather than the Titan hunters when they had to have the Civil War.
Yeah, action. Like a little bit.
Right.
And like that super sweet scene where like Levi's like on top of buildings and he's like twirling through it and the gunshots are going around in like the Matrix. That shit was tight.
Yeah.
But now it went because the show went from Titan's bad, we don't know anything about him. I honestly thought because they were talking about how light Titans were, they're like in the season 1, they're like, wow, Titans are really light. Like they're not heavy. And they have photosynthesis kind of where at nighttime they don't do shit. But at daytime they move and stuff. And I was like, okay, maybe this is going like in a plant direction. Maybe they're like some plant or something. And then it just goes, season 4 starts and we're like, the fuck's going on? What do you mean?
I really thought that they were just going to keep on building on this whole like secret cult thing is really what I thought, because that whole like arc where we went into the caves and saw like the blood and then the actual like sacrificial chamber style was really really insane. Yeah, like so wild.
And then that guy becomes the giant worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they were like, and how they kept like feeding, you know, the purest blood, the founding Titan powers. It was just such a crazy twist.
I mean, they say that. Do they say that, Ryan, about the founding Titan whatever yet? I don't remember if they do.
They do actually hint at it.
Because I know where they're at right now.
I think I know what you're talking about, right?
Okay.
I think I know what you're talking about. Remember, but I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to actually talk about what we're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure if it was alluded to previously.
Though. It has been hinted at.
Okay, then I won't say anything. But and it's just humans good, Titans bad. Season 2, they're like, okay, we're having problems, and it gets a little political. Season 3, really political. Season 4, Titans are still bad, but they're not bad because of Marley is technically throwing people over the wall and making them for bad people. But then it's political because they hate all of the people. So it's like it all came together in a circle. They mixed action, bad guy, good guy, with mystery and politics all into one.
Right. If I had to be really nitpicky, though, they definitely had a couple of seasons there where they could have probably condensed down some of the bullshit and made it a little bit more to the point. Because really, the jump from where we are at now in the final season compared to where we have been, like, in my personal opinion, I feel like we should have gotten there sooner. Or at least give us another season to work off of, because they've added the rest of the world in one episode, basically.
And we get semi-flashbacks, but there was a huge time skip.
Which all that's led to this season, the very beginning, is a lot of catch-up off of stuff that we should already have established. You know what I mean?
When season 4 first started, I didn't even know that was Aaron.
Right?
That,
No
like,
one did.
Like I was like, what the fuck's going on? I thought he was just a dude, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm a fucking Eren Yeager, bitch.
Now,
What's up?
does it do that in the manga, for example?
I started the manga after season 4, part 1. So I watched
Gotcha.
part 2 onwards.
Okay.
Or I read it. So yeah.
Right. It is a super sweet anime though. Definitely one of those ones that really took me back initially. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching initially, right? That shock factor of it.
Everyone thinks it's gonna be like the anime of the decade. And like because it's like the masterpiece that we haven't had since like the early 2000s.
I mean, we'll see. It really is truth because Game of Thrones kind of had that same exact legacy feeling, right? You have to stick the landing.
Oh, dude,
you have to stick the landing.
I can't talk about it.
Well, then stop talking about it.
All I have to say is Sag Tree. You guys won't understand until it happens. Sag Tree. It's Sag. It's Sag.
I'm going to go watch the rest of it after we're done here.
It gets really good, man. Well, the last episode that we watched, it was kind of like, not this last one that just came out, but the one before it was kind of annoying. And I was like, just get to it already.
Yeah.
But in the manga, it goes by quick, but they extend it out really long in the anime.
That's exactly what I've struggled with the show. Watching it on the week-to-week basis just makes me tilted. It's because if you get that episode that actually doesn't talk about anything and progresses like 5 minutes of actual story, I want to kill myself.
Like, I've been reading Bleach lately because they're animating the 1,000-Year War, and people are like, oh my god, this thing's sick. And I'm like, I haven't watched Bleach. Like, I started rewatching it about 4 years ago, and I got bored of it. And I had to go through, because I downloaded it, and delete hundreds of episodes of fillers. Hundreds. And I was like, dude, I don't want to watch this because it's so drawn out. I started reading the manga 5 days ago. I'm already up to the 1,000-Year Blood War arc or whatever. It goes by so fast. It does not waste time. And it's so great because when you're watching the show, it's like it takes 5 minutes for them to animate like them moving around and stuff, and the manga is just picture, and we kind of figure it out. So it's been
Ichigo's a hollow.
Whoa!
Oh no! 5 episodes later, still fighting.
Yeah, and it's just like in the manga. Like I was telling Ryan, the manga, like each chapter is only 20 pages, and most of that chapter is taken up by like action scenes. Some of the action scenes are just one page and one page that you look at together. Some of them are just like 4 boom, 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 and then they're talking, and it goes by so like they get through it, and you're not sitting there just waiting.
Yeah, they don't have to play the imagery game though, is what it really boils down to, right? Like if it's on TV, it has to look cool. If it doesn't look cool, then we're not interested.
I was having that issue with One Piece. That's why I started reading the manga, because I'm like, everything's taking so long to do, and in the manga it's just like boom, 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 and it just does it. Whereas the anime, like, it takes extra long to get through from point to point in the same episode because of all the animation they have to do, which I understand, but it's annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of hope this turns into an anime and podcast.
Yeah. Have you seen Trash Taste Podcast?
What's that?
It is, like I was telling Thomas, it is 3 anime YouTubers who all now live in Japan. 2 of them are from the UK, one of them's from Australia, and that they're an anime podcast, and they're huge. That's kind of what they're all friends, and they just talk shit. They just shoot the shit. They'll go off the rails all the time and just talk about stuff, like, as friends. So that's what inspired this kind of for me. I'm probably going to upload all this because we need to just at least get something out.
Exactly. Just
even
keep
like
putting
this
it out.
portion, I don't care.
No, honestly, any content's better than no content is the truth.
The content.
Huh?
What's it called?
Trash Taste. It's ran by CDog VA. He got his start as an anime YouTuber, voice acting Black Butler, the Butler.
Shit.
because he sounds like him. So that's how he got his career started. And then the other one's Joey, the anime man. He's called the anime man because he's the anime man. He's half Japanese, half Australian. And then there's Giguk. He's like the high quality anime reviewer and talks about just anime and manga. And they all moved to Japan together. So, and CDawg VA is really a lot friends with a lot of the VTubers.
Huh.
Yeah, so like Iron Mouse, Nanners, all them. He's like friends with all the Hololive, not the Hololive, but the V Shoujo girls. So
I only know of HoloLive. I'm not in that world at all.
I know about it. I watch a little bit of it. Like Iron Mouse right now is doing a subathon on Twitch, and it's been going for 13 days straight. But she has a medical condition, so she's like has to be in bed and take medicine and stuff like that because of her medical condition. So she sleeps a lot, but she's super funny, and she's Latina. Yeah, so she used to before now used to do YouTube streams where she would speak in Spanish the whole time. But I guess she signed a contract with Twitch, so she doesn't really do that anymore. Because I tuned in because I speak Spanish at an okay level, and I would just like to see like and learn and stuff. But her and CDawg are super close. Is there any? Did you guys watch Demon Slayer?
Yes.
You haven't watched Demon Slayer? Have you seen any of it?
Nah, dude. I don't really watch anime, to be honest.
Okay. Demon
Switch
Slayer.
gears in a bit, by the way.
What?
Oh, I said we could switch gears in a bit if you don't
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
No, I don't mind. You guys can keep going on this. It's just like it's just never been my thing, really, to be honest. Like I just don't like watching shows like that, to be honest. So I'm always I do other things is really the truth.
Are you saying that you're like an alpha male on that Sigma male grind set?
Yo, dude, let me tell you, I'm basically a Chad, okay? I'm fucking yoked. What can I say? I'm ready to get
I think my muscles
get
are
bitches
almost
some
as
money.
big as yours, bro. They used to be a lot more filled out.
I'm tiny man.
Like, my forearms used to be huge. Look at that.
Man, dude, look at that.
From
Look at that forearm, bro.
From doing flooring.
Damn. Yeah, but yeah, he calls it flooring.
Yeah.
We know what it is.
Shut up. I know what you're going to. That's what everybody says. I'm like, my forearms are big from flooring. They're like,
yeah, you mean floor, man.
Yeah, flooring that dick. But Demon Slayer, it starts off kind of slow. Do you know anything about it, Thomas?
Nope.
Okay. It's about slaying demons.
You know, I've got a hint from the name.
Yeah.
And but it's the story of like this kid, his family gets murdered. This isn't spoilers, it's in the first episode. Family gets murdered, his sister survives, but is turned into a demon. And most of the times when a human's turned into a demon, they just fucking kill everything other than demons. Well, his sister turned out to be special and doesn't kill humans or eat them or drink their blood at all. So it goes through their struggle as a human who wants to get revenge for his family's death and his sister being a demon and controlling her and all that stuff. So it starts off slow because he's just a kid, but then it gets intense. And what adds to Demon Slayer being so good as an anime is the animation is so sick.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's one of those animes that I've heard a ton about in the sense of like it's super publicized and a lot of people always have great things to say about it. So like I definitely get the appeal to it. I just don't sit down and watch it, to be honest with you.
The art style is truly the highlight. If you're into good like anime art,
Because honestly, the story is, because I've read the manga, so I know how it ends and everything, and it's a typical shonen anime. But the animation is what sets it apart. I guess that's like what we were talking about earlier with My Dress Up Darling. It's about a girl who wants to do cosplay, but the animation is so good. It's like it's like
Yeah, it's
elevating
no
it.
longer about the story; it's about the art piece.
Yeah, yeah, and the story can be decent, but the art, just like Ryan earlier, like Castlevania looks really good and has a really good story, especially if you know anything about the games or like the original story or whatever. It goes off a little bit from what I can tell in, personally from like the games and stuff, but it looks good, especially the final season looks really good and its story is really good. So it's just got both going for it. But it seems like the story doesn't have to be so perfect like it used to be because animation quality wasn't there yet. And now, like, since animation's so high up there, you can get away with an okay story as long as it looks sick as fuck.
What really did it for me with Castlevania, to be honest, is the humor. Like,
I love it.
I need humor. I need anime that doesn't take itself serious because honestly, anime is just it's too over the top. It's so over the top, but that's the appeal to it, in my opinion. So I need a level of just like subtle, not even necessarily subtle human, but just like almost know what you are, right? Play your lane. Because like for example, that's why I loved about One Punch Man. Like One Punch Man, all it is just like the mock of anime tropes, right? And as long as you're doing that, and for example, with My Hero Academia, it kind of feels this way too, where I get the Gurren Lagann effect, where it goes so big and gets so like epic that I just like can't help but fucking buy into it.
Gurren Lagann is perfection. Perfection. They
perfection?
Just knew. Yeah, because from the very start it was over the top. And then they just kept escalating it higher and higher and higher until it was like galaxies.
We're throwing galaxies at each other. Yeah.
The first episode is a metaphor for the trajectory of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They want to go up to the surface. Well, sometimes the surface isn't what you think.
The drill that pierces the heavens.
Yeah, bro. I love Gurren Lagann. That show is like the best way for over the topness, but making it like really good. Because like even the dialogue when they're like talking to the enemy, like you can't make me do this, blah blah blah. My heart, I feel it. Whereas some of them, it's just like, what are you talking about, dude? You're just like shooting the guy.
Yeah, what it really is that it's the likability of the characters, man. That the characters in these shows are just so damn good. And they appeal to so many audiences is really what it is, man. Because like, if you can attach me with a character immediately,
then
your generally
favorite character in Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
Since you're like actually caught up with this one.
So with Attack on Titan, I would have to say that my favorite character is probably Hange. I really like her a lot because she's got it all figured out, man. Yeah, she's a scientist. Yeah. She's got it figured out, and she's nuts. She rides that humor line very well, but she also knows she has like that same level of Commander Erwin like type of foresight and intellect, right?
Correct.
And I feel like that she's the human side of that brain though, which is really cool because of how crazy she is as a fucking character, right?
That's true.
Like,
and she's been there since the beginning, right?
Exactly.
Like, this whole time. And she's been an advisor this whole time. Like, the whole time.
And they finally put it in her hands to be like, dude, it's your show. Like, let's take it to the next level,
and
right?
And it gets fucked up.
Yeah, and then, of course, it takes... I mean, it's going to take someone that's fucking brain is psycho to be able to pull them out of some shit like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what about you guys? Who's your favorite characters?
The girl that eats a lot. I always forget her name.
Oh yeah, she died. The one that dies, right?
In the beginning of season 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Just I don't know why. Like I really like Eren, but he gets annoying to me. I like the current Eren. I like the current Eren a lot.
To be honest, I hate all of our main characters. They're so.
I think Mikasa is just kind of.
She's Eren.
It's kind of like why I hate Inuyasha, because it's like Kagome, Inuyasha, Kagome the whole time, and I'm like, okay,
that's Mikasa in a nutshell.
Yeah,
I have his scarf, so I must protect him at all times.
She's like, they're like, oh, we're gonna get ready. I got some. I got some meat, bro. And it's like, okay, let's eat some meat. Like she's a badass. She's chill. She understands what's going on, but she chooses to be kind of like the less serious of the group to like just be chill. But she comprehends everything that's going on. And then she, of course, dies.
They had to rip her away, man.
I always
All
gotta
right.
go for the villains. I always gotta go for the villain. What they did with Zeke is
Yeah.
awesome. You don't? Yeah, you didn't like his arc. It's not
It's
an
not
arc.
that I
Even.
don't like
It's not an arc.
his arc or story.
He's complex. He's complex.
It's just I don't like what they did to him as a kid, which led to all this.
That's true.
Because
Childhood trauma is a big theme.
if you don't remember, Thomas, Aaron's dad and Zeke's dad was married to the founding Titan lineage, and they made Zeke, and they were teaching him how to like overthrow Marley and stuff, but then he sold them out. Zeke, as
Right.
a child, sold them out and started this whole thing. And it's like the whole time Zeke is like mad at his dad, and it's like, dude, you did this. You didn't have to sell him out, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad was just trying to get revenge for his sister because she was eaten by dogs. Like,
But his daddy issues is his whole thing. That's
Yeah.
like that is the reason. Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you sold them out. So like,
But
as a
he
kid-
is a total badass.
He is. Oh, he is. He's a
And
total
his
badass.
brain, man, like he's got fucking crazy mad genius brain. You know what I mean?
He is.
Which I can buy that.
I like Zeke. What makes me not like him as like my favorite character is what he did as a child, and then as an adult he blames everything on his dad, and it's like, no, dude, you sold him out.
Yeah, but that hair.
And he's hot.
Mm-hmm.
And those glasses.
That's what I'm saying, dude. You guys got good taste.
Oh, so Thomas,
All right, what do we got?
let's talk about Magic. I want to talk about Pokemon real quick. So
The card games. Here
So-
we go.
this Saturday, a new Pokemon set, like I was telling you about before, which we didn't record, is Brilliant Stars. Brilliant
Right.
Stars is gonna have all these Charizards and stuff like that. And I went to a pre-release and got a pre-release kit,
All right.
which comes with 4 packs and like a special promo, which I'm just gonna leave in there. And so it's supposed to be an event where you open this, which has a partial deck in it, and you pull the packs and you make a deck, and you're supposed to duel, and if you win you get extra packs. Well, my place wasn't doing that because of the Yu-Gi-Oh pre-release and the Magic pre-release.
Yep.
So they gave me an extra 3 packs. I pulled a Shining a Charizard V-Star, which
Can we get the pull up of what it is? Here,
Yeah.
actually, I got this. You said Charizard V-Star?
yeah,
You sure it?
Yeah, let me get in there real quick and get the card.
if you don't
All
mind,
right.
because my computer's
Yeah, no, I got you.
So that's
Charizard.
like one of the main cards because it's Charizard. And then V-Star are new to the Brilliant Stars. So V-Stars are brand new to this set that's coming out in 8 days, so next week. And so I pulled it and I sold it for $60 immediately because I know you're into selling cards.
So it's Charizard V, right? Is what the card is in.
V-Star.
Star?
Yes. So Charizard V is just so the way that Pokemon works now, you have Charizard or any other card and then it evolves
What's
to
the
V,
set called?
Brilliant Stars.
Brilliant Stars.
Yeah. So it goes V Max in terms of evolution now. So it goes like if you go Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard V, Charizard V Max. So V Star's a new one that you do in place of V Max, I believe. So this is all new. So I pulled it and I sold it for $60.
Hell yeah, man. That's
And
fucking
this set,
awesome.
it doesn't come out for another 8 days. And there's another Charizard card called the Hyper Rare version that's selling
Yeah,
for
I can see it.
$350 right now.
Jesus.
The set's not even out yet.
Yeah, I mean that's how it always is. I mean, even with all of the new Magic stuff, while it's on pre-release, you only can sell
prices
it
are-
as you have prices that are going to be insane.
why I
People are on
sold
the
it.
hunt for it. Now, the big thing about it is that like so for example, on the Magic side, because like you mentioned, we did have a pre-release for Magic.
Yeah.
These prices rapidly drop too. So when you get them, you need to sell them immediately or be on the scout for what cards could be like actually good in the competitive scene so you can maintain value, right? So what I've been actually doing with the Magic side is I'm looking for the big effects that actually are big name sellers. So for example, cards that do multiple effects, cards that are higher rarity are always going to be better. And then cards that are going to be cheap in cost. Like I don't know how necessarily it works in Pokemon, but for example, Magic has basically about 5 tiers worth of play, and they're all based on how old the cards get and how far back you can go, right?
Like
so
the legacy
naturally,
standard.
exactly. So as you progress into the older and older formats, well, card quality is going to keep getting better. So your best cards are always the ones that are the cheapest to play, because those are going to have your highest playability rate potential, right? So that's generally what I always try to scout for whenever I'm looking at cards. And there's a couple on my list, but nothing really in this new set that really kind of strikes me as over the top.
Question.
Yeah.
Is Magic just like still just holographics as their
No.
highest? Okay.
So the big thing about Magic is that it's copied a lot of what Pokemon does now, in the sense of there are a ton of variant arts.
So tell me a name of one so I can look at it real quick.
Sure. So let's go ahead and do let me just get let's do the newest card here that's really popular. Go ahead and type in Jin Gitaxis. I'm gonna drop its name in the Discord really quick for you guys.
Sure.
JIN-GITAXIAS, Progress Tyrant. So if you go to
certainly a name.
Yeah, and he's our big baddie of the set. So if you go to tcgplayer.com, which is the primary market for selling, just go ahead and copy paste that name in there. And when you do that, you'll see that there's actually in the search bar a couple of different variants here already. You have the normal standard variant, which is going to have a regular art and a foil art.
Where are you looking? I'm so sorry.
So in the main TCG homepage, if you copy and paste this and puts this in the search bar,
I see what
you'll get a bunch of different of the same exact card, but with a bunch of different arts.
Oh, wow.
So they've just now started doing this recently within the last about 2 years. And now it's a matter of just trying to chase which art is the hardest to get, which is the most sought after, and kind of playing that game now.
I'm looking at these cards. 2 of them look the same. Oh, one of them has a pre-release stamp, I think.
Yeah.
And that one's more expensive. But this other one is like, so when you're looking at these 2 cards, let me share this here real quick. Let me just share this. So can I make this? There we go. So when you're looking at these two cards right here. Oh, it's lagging.
Here, did you want me to share? I can do it on my side too, if it's too much for your computer.
All right.
Okay.
So these 2 cards right here. And this is what we would call the standard. This is just what it looks like.
Yep,
well, in
exactly.
Pokemon, this would be called either a V Max, or an
secret rare.
Or a secret rare. Or technically, hyper rares are secret rares and there's also full arts. And with Pokemon, what they do is like the V cards, which I have some. Let me show you. The V cards, right? This is what they look like.
Yeah, they're like a full art and they're like shiny, right?
Yeah, but when you look at this as a V, it's not textured. It's just plastic. When you go to a full art, which would be something like this Pikachu, this has a texture to it.
Right.
So that's the difference between like the normal and the full arts. And then go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and it's funny because Magic has not gotten to any texture changes yet because of its competitive standard. So the cards have to be identical in every fashion, even down to foils. They have to be underneath a certain level of thickness, or else they don't meet tournament playable standards.
Yeah, Pokemon's not that serious.
Yeah, there's people take this game very seriously, especially when you start getting to the competitive side. So it's these new alternate arts are really interesting because there have definitely been cases of some foils are definitely thicker than others, and I'm sure you guys have seen.
Players are, let me guess, feeling for the card.
Yes, exactly. I
shuffling.
mean, you talk about how good people are at just sleight of hand in general.
Oh,
Like
bro.
cards is a whole nother element, man.
Yeah.
There was
I
a
know.
Hall of Famers getting disqualified and getting their titles revoked for being caught on camera after years of not being noticed, to then come back and
Yeah.
realize that they were caught cheating.
Oh yeah, I was watching a video on that.
Yeah,
I've
there's
seen
really
a
bad
there's
scandal there
like
for a
this
minute.
there's like this one channel that does nothing but calling out Magic cheaters
Yep.
and stuff like that. And I'm just like, holy cow! Like, just like, oh, talking about cheaters, not to derail. Did you guys see that Guitar Hero one?
Yes.
So this guy was claiming world records for and so in Guitar Hero, there's something called what's it called, Ryan? It's a program for your PC.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the open source Guitar Hero.
Yeah, basically. And people Clone Hero.
Yeah.
And people make custom stuff for it, right?
Okay.
And some of these songs are just nuts to play. Like crazy. Like a really popular one is called Soulless 4. And a full combo is playing every single note without missing once. Not once.
Right.
So some of these guys make these extremely, almost humanly impossible to do. And this one guy was doing them. And he had his camera on and he was doing them. But the biggest issue was that people put bounties for these songs. So the first one to complete it got $100.
Right, exactly.
So this guy was doing an it's called like a computer assisted run, where
I see.
It was playing it, and he was good enough to fool people to think he was doing it because he is a really, really good player. But then the inconsistencies came in when they're like, wait, how did you hammer on that red when the method is doing this? And you're doing, so one of the methods is to like, you go down like this and then you do like this kind of. It's kind of hard to see me doing it, but you kind of do this on the buttons. And he was doing that, but he was doing it kind of like this. And so people caught him.
See, they could see it, yeah. He wasn't actually doing it.
Because he was so well respected that nobody questioned he was cheating until someone decided to actually look at the frame by frames.
There was even more obvious ones where it was like his score multiplier should be at 4 times for the entire time because you need to do that for 100%,
combo.
right?
Yeah.
That's a full combo. And his score multiplier would be like at 2 times for like 10 frames and then go back to 4 times.
So
it was obviously spliced.
Crazy.
Obviously spliced, yep.
Yep. And he claimed like thousands of dollars in these bounties doing that.
Wow, dude.
That's like the most egregious part. Yeah.
That's absurd, man.
And I know in Magic,
it's a tiny community, like a tiny community. And he was really well known.
I used to watch a guy called Yukog Monkey, and that's all he used to do before he got into sim racing. So that's why I kind of like watch it. But with Magic, wasn't there a guy using a form of misdirection to like put
it's
stuff on
so
his
common,
deck?
man.
And like he was doing it on streams. He would like talk to the guy, or no, there was one guy who was putting stuff in his hand, and he said he put it to the deck, but the graveyard, but he didn't. And even the commentators were like, "Oh, he has 4 of those in his deck. I thought he only had 3. Oh, I guess he has 4."
Right.
He was cheating right on stream.
It's crazy though. Is like what it boils down to with a lot of these guys that do the cheating on camera is, first of all, they have really good charisma. You know what I mean? Like these guys that are really good at it are convincing enough to be able to fool you without you even fucking knowing what's happening, right? Which is even the most
of the Magic community.
Right, but it's the game's called Magic, for God's sake. Like no one can see Magic. Come on.
Yeah.
But no, it's for real. Like these guys, I think probably the most egregious clip is probably the one that you're mentioning right now. It's this guy. He was this really hot fucking like player. Honestly, he came up out of nowhere. He was pretty young, and he was competing a lot on like the East Coast side. And East Coast has its own tournament bracket called Star City Games. They do great coverage, really awesome like stream. Honestly,
pause for a second. For people that don't know, Thomas used to play in tournaments and used to work at a card shop, and he was getting his rank up and stuff. So that's why Thomas knows so much about this. Continue.
Yeah, dude. It was a ride for sure. But on that side, what was crazy is this guy was legitimately it was he was so successful over a period of about 2 years, and all of a sudden this one scandal comes out where he gets caught cheating, and it
Yeah.
was more of just like his slip up. You could see that he messed up on his side is the only
Mhm.
reason he even caught it. Then to go back and look at the footage over the last year and a half, there's multiple times
Mhm.
on camera this guy is not afraid to fool people and getting away with it, and you can see it's as simple as readjust. So you have what's called on right next to your deck, you'll have what's called your graveyard, which is like your
Yeah.
discard pile.
Yeah.
It's very common for players to reassess that pile and kind of pick those cards
Yeah.
up and like
And
relay
like
them out.
what's in my graveyard so I can see what's in my deck.
Exactly.
And
And
stuff.
what he was able to do is palm cards so he could put them at the bottom of his deck. And as soon as they're on the bottom of his deck, you know a location of a card and you're good enough at shuffling cards, you can put that card anywhere you
Mhm.
want, regardless of a cut or not. So
Yep.
you could easily tell this guy was just on another level when it came to the card shuffling and could always guarantee, first of all, his opponents always would mulligan. Multiple times on streams, they caught him shuffling lands into the opening hands of his opponent or taking away lands depending on how many
Yeah.
cards the guy had in hand,
I was
stuff like
about
that.
to
Yeah,
say
he was
that.
really intense with
I
it because,
remember a clip. I think it's the same guy where he's sitting there shuffling for a long time and he's talking to the guy and the judge like a normal person, but
yep,
you can see him looking down because he has the card slightly tilted and you
yep.
can see him looking down like this, but he's holding a normal conversation, but
Hmm.
he's doing it for like 4 minutes, just shuffling
Right.
the like the opponent's deck or his deck. I don't remember which, but since the conversation, he was misdirecting them to set up for his success or their failure. I'm
Yeah.
just like,
A-
bruh, how
And
did
you
no
know
one
what's
notice this?
really kind of turned a lot of the community around, in my opinion, is actually the arena client, like the online client, because you all of a sudden see players that were rated so high for so long, they're not there anymore, and we have so
Yeah,
many new players that are now popping up because of it's actually fair, right? And
yeah.
everybody gets unlucky. That's just a fact of card
Oh,
games.
dude,
So
100%.
it it's really interesting to see, and then the players that have made it through the online grind and stuff like that, you can see that those players are really on a
Yeah,
totally another
you
level.
could just tell that like when they're playing online, it's like these guys that are, were cheating. You're like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Oh, you can't get that card that you want, so now you don't know what to do because you never allow yourself to be in a scenario where you don't have the card you want.
exactly.
That's crazy.
But I mean, game's still thriving, still doing really well. The newest set, the Neon's Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, had record number selling sales at multiple in our local game stores here in San Diego again.
Wow.
Like absolutely slam dunk sales.
Wow.
So I don't see this game ever going away anytime soon. I think it's
No.
still on the rise. It's just a matter of, does it continue to dominate the card scene? Because it's kind of like how I feel about Lost Ark, in the sense of, we're waiting for the game that is better than Magic the Gathering to really come out and take the precedent. Right? Same with WoW. Is Lost Ark potentially the next step in the MMO direction? Like, is that going to be a new staple name for everybody to really remember? Like,
Yeah.
those are kind of the next questions of, what are we doing with our games that are coming out? Are they just recreations, or are they actually going to be
Bro,
a new thing?
what they're doing, listen, I'm telling you, they're holding your hand too much, dude. Like I was telling you before, like my nephew, he's 13 and he was playing Diablo 2 for the first time. And he's asking me, I don't know where to go. I'm like, dude, you got to figure it out, bro. He's like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. I killed this lady at the graveyard, and now where do I go? I'm like, what's the quest say? Oh, I have to go to whatever plains and find this thing. I'm like, okay, did you go there? No. How do I get there? I'm like, dude, you just gotta go. You
Yeah.
just you just gotta do it. You just gotta figure it out. And like, wow, I was watching someone play and I leveled a character in Shadowlands. Everything's just so this way.
Linear. Yeah.
It's linear. And Lost Ark is too. But for me, for Lost Ark, the most complicated thing is all the systems in place. There's a lot of systems and it's really confusing to someone that's
What do you
not
mean by
used.
systems?
So you got your talents for your abilities, which you put points into, and then you can unlock certain things in a tree for that specific ability. And after so many points that you put over here, unlocks more over here. And then you do that for each ability. And then at end game, there's like these gem things that you have to RNG like percentage put into skills that you want. And you have to like pick and choose. And like this one, if you get it, then your success rate goes down to 45%. And it's like, oh, well, I'm going to try and do the 45% in a skill I don't want. Boom. Okay. I got it, went into the skill I don't want. So now it's at 25%. And then you have to put, and you only have so many slots that you can do that in. And then there's systems with like your pet. And then there's systems with, I haven't gotten that far, but just watching, there's like so many, it's like a mobile game. Mobile games, if you've never played like a mobile game, like RPG, like you're thrown in and you have all these little menu things on your screen, and all those are like different things that you got to like just figure out. And Lost Ark has a lot of those. And that's what makes it unique, kind of like PoE. Like PoE, I'll never play because there's just, I don't understand. And I don't have the time to understand it. But Lost Ark does it better because during the questing it kind of explains, but there's more to it, of course, and how you want to do things. But that's what makes it unique, because you have so many options that you can do in these. Once you understand all the systems, you can customize every little aspect of your character to how exactly you envision it. And that's what's really good. But for players like me who just play WoW, it's like, oh, I have a talent tree. Oh, I can do that skill now. Sick, dude. I'm like, what the fuck? What is all this on my screen?
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, because basically the way I feel about Lost Ark, and the way I just feel about a lot of these games in general nowadays, is realistically, there's always going to be some level of complexity when you're first diving in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the learning curve is where ultimately I feel like the game has to, where you will thrive, right?
Yes.
And I think that's something that Lost Ark, at least through all the streams and through my basic playthrough, what I've done so far, it really does walk you through at the absolute basic level.
It tells you this is what you press to get there. This is what it does.
Yeah, the tutorial they're doing in the very beginning is very clear.
I really like the tutorial.
Now, my big problem I have with it is kind of what you're getting at, but this also, I think it personally is a generational thing, is the level of simplicity makes things way too easy. And one thing about older games is that there was a lot of strife, and not like in the sense of where we're at with Dark Souls, where the game's design is to be very hard
and confusing,
it's just
and not lead you in the right direction.
It's just meant to be a difficult game to beat at a fundamental level, right? That's what I kind of require for my games to generally be intriguing. But at the same time, I think that that's where it's really hard to have that perfect happy median for everybody, because attention span and keeping people engaged when things are difficult, it's such a fine line balance for people to find enjoyment in frustration, right? It's like so counterintuitive
on
thinking.
That point. That's what was great about WoW, because we've been playing WoW since 2004. I think that's when we all got into it. You were into it on release. You guys were, and I hadn't played. And then a few months later, I started playing. And what was great was, like, no matter how many times you failed, you were after. It's like, oh, next level, I can put my talent in intimidation for my pet. And that'll allow it to stun. Dude, you know how sick it's going to be able to stun a target, bro? And I just press a button and it stuns it? Or it's like, oh, next level, I get scatter shot. Oh, dude, or next level, I can go and do SM and get that blue piece of gear. So I'm dying now to try and get my level up. It doesn't matter how many times I die to PvP. I'm going to get that level, and I'm going to get that piece of gear. And I just feel like now everything's just handed. Like, oh, here's this gear. Oh, here's that gear. Oh, DLC, here's everything. And it's like,
right.
It doesn't have that same, like,
There's
drive.
There's no clear carrot to chase and go for.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like you see all these people on their mounts, like, oh, I'm gonna hit level 40 and I'm gonna get that mount. I'm gonna be on one of those. How much is it? 60 gold? That's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna have that. Like, everything was prestigious back then. Everything, like, you had an epic, dude, you were the coolest guy around. Like, everyone looked at you like you had anathema benediction as a priest. You were like a god to us. It was like, you beat MC, you went into a molten core,
Right.
And now it's like everybody does that. Everybody does this because information for these games before they're even released from betas is like already out there. So everybody already knows what to expect from the games.
Well, but it's not even just that. It's just that people are better too.
Yes.
Like player bases are across the board are just better at video games.
Yes.
And that makes game design really hard too, because how do you build something that's really rewarding that is still intriguing to the gamer community but engaging to a player that is not a gamer, right?
Like
because exactly, you have to appease both audiences. And I think that is the fine line that's always so hard for people to actually hit right.
It is.
Now, and I think Lost Ark is getting there. What I really like about it on watching just the streamer side is the dungeon complexity from the third person point of view is so great. Like watching the traps and the monsters fight, like a boss fight has multiple phases and lots of rotating, like basically just I would say you have to move. You can't just sit there and whack stuff, right?
No.
And for the most part you can as the early levels as you progress, but the complexity in the fights start to grow. And that's what I really like about the game so far, just from watching it at the base level. Now, my big concern is that it is still an MMO, which always leads me to believe time sink. Like, how much time do I have to invest into getting into these? Which is always going to be like a negative factor for me. So I don't know how to alleviate that factor.
That is difficult, I feel, because it's like if you hand everybody the gear, then the gear's not important. That's what WoW ran into with the Raid Finder was you can do these raids with a bunch of pugs. The gear item level is not going to be as high as doing the actual raid on normal, heroic, or mythic, but you got the piece of gear. So it's like everybody basically got it for free. And with Lost Ark, it's an MMO, but you can do all the dungeons and raids by yourself.
Right.
You can like I was watching Asmongold. He was soloing a raid and he beat it. And I feel like a lot of the games miss that social mark because, like with WoW, the social mark was huge, and now when you play WoW, nobody wants to talk to it. Like because I played WoW, I played Shadowlands, and I'll just try to like go up to someone and just shoot the shit and just be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And they'll just ignore me. Or
and that's across all games in general, though.
But it used to not be like that.
I blame League of Legends actually for that 100%. But I'm not even trolling with you.
I know you're not.
With League of Legends, tell me.
It's the it's cool to be toxic vibe that has now emerged. Yeah, the FF at 15, the fucking top diff, the mid gap and stuff like that. Like, it's funny because we always knew the jocks would finally realize that video games are cool and come join us in our crusade. But now the douchebaggery that has come with that has spread into it's cool to be a dick to everybody. So no one wants to talk to anybody about it, right? So I think that's a mix because instant gratification when your teams are doing well. It's easy when everybody's playing well. Yeah. But if anybody fucks up, then obviously that guy's an idiot and he shouldn't have been there in the first place. Is where everybody's brain goes, right?
Yes.
And that's based off of video game culture that is directly correlated to fucking League of Legends and how toxic that community has been and spread out to the rest. And I've heard now, and don't quote me on this per se, I've heard that Dota initially was just as bad.
Oh, it was worse.
Yeah, and then obviously we've transitioned to where League is the dominant MOBA now, so it has taken that toxicity
Heroes
community.
Of Newerth, if you've ever heard of that haunt, came out around the time.
Yeah, I remember.
Like League and Dota too. It's the worst. If you're a new player, people will just shit talk you and be like, "How do you not know this?" And you'll be like, "Hey, I'm new to the game," and they will just berate you, and like they'll grief you on purpose because you're new.
But you know what's crazy is that now going back into it and doing what you're doing, kind of like forcing myself to engage with strangers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As long as I have a mute function where I can not have to deal with the people that are toxic, I really enjoy the communication aspect. Like, I've always been a team player, like in any game I play. So I really appreciate the camaraderie that comes with these games at the end of the day.
When people want to like talk and be cool.
Yeah.
Because like when I play League, I play ARAM or AERF, and I'll be like, hey, I haven't played in a while, and then I'll fuck up because I haven't played in a while, and they'll just question mark ping me. I'm like, bro, what do you want me to do, bro? What do you want from me?
Right.
Like what? I told you I haven't played in 6 months. I don't know what the fuck. I don't even know the items. What do you want me to do, bro?
Right.
I told you.
But kind of getting back to the original WoW point is that the level of complexity in WoW was the amount of spells they fucking give you, man. Like seriously.
Yeah.
I remember our taskbars, like, and looking at our,
wild.
yeah, I mean, we could cast 30 plus spells with macros and being able to run full speed. So the level of complexity is definitely shifted because they've dumbed that part of it down too. They've taken
Yes.
away so many of your spells, so you
Yes.
don't have that flexibility. And I think that's a good thing overall,
It's okay.
personally.
It's just your spells don't have that uniqueness to them anymore because the talent trees are, you get 6 tiers and you can pick one of 3 all the way down. That's it.
Right.
Whoa.
It just goes to show that the games are just so different nowadays. And
They are, and
but I
that's
think it's
fine.
based off of attention span and being able to keep
Yeah.
people engaged with faster pace.
Or
instead
nobody
of
knows what the
slower
fuck
pace.
they're doing and they just do what they think is good and it just doesn't work.
Right.
I mean, like Final Fantasy 14, when it first came out, they had to retcon the entire thing, like the entire story. They retconned the entire first part of Final Fantasy 14 and remade the entire game to A Realm Reborn. And Final Fantasy 14 is a really good game now. So like they knew what they were doing. And like last year when like Asmongold and all these streamers that played WoW went to Final Fantasy 14, and Final Fantasy 14 got so popular, their free trial 1 to 60, everything included for free. They had to stop making codes to give out because their servers were too full.
That's crazy.
They had to literally stop producing the codes, like producing the game basically, because it was so popular. And it's still popular because to me, the end game in Final Fantasy 14 isn't just the complex raids, but some people just go around role playing as just their characters. And like that's an end game in Final Fantasy 14 is just hanging out. That's one of the end game options is to just hang out. Whereas in WoW, the hanging out is just sit in the zone and watch everybody run by you. Because nobody talks. But in Final Fantasy 14, everybody talks to each other. Everybody's nice to each other. So I think that's really cool because it's like, oh, I don't want to do these raids. I just want to hang out with my friends. And that is an end game solution, is to just hang out with your friends. Like we used to. WoW.
It could also be the complacency syndrome too, where the people that are constantly jumping to the newest games are more enticed to reach out and talk to people because clearly they aren't just showing up to the same thing and doing the same thing over and over again, just trying to get that escape at the end of the day too. Like they're actively going out, trying to engage and trying to do new things and being like, hey, I learned this thing. How would you learn about this thing, right? Instead of us doing dead mines for the fucking like 70,000th time because everybody already knows that how to do it inside and out, right?
Well, that's the thing with like Lost Ark is that it's been out in South Korea and like Russia or something for a long period of time. So
since 2019.
Everybody knows the game if you just research and do it. And it's like when I just read chat Lost Ark, they're just like, oh, it's pay to win. Ah, this, ah, that. Like nobody's actually engaging in a conversation. They're just being toxic. So it's like, I don't know. I just feel like people should be able to talk to each other, but nobody wants to talk.
To be honest, it's super weird from my perspective because in the time that I've played this game, I feel like I'm playing a single player game, even though I know it's an MMO.
Yeah.
Which is like which I don't necessarily hate. I just think I need to get used on how to engage my environment too. And the fact that it's the second largest congruent player base of all time, just broke that record like this last week. It's got to be good, right? So I'm willing to give it at least more effort just to try it out for a little longer. But my big thing is that it is PC demanding, man. Like it is taxing on PC. Not as bad as
New World.
Well, yeah, I mean, any of the new age games really require some good processing power. We're not privileged like Mr. Ryan up there.
No. Talking about MMOs, New World, I played the beta and I got in. So New World, your skills are like weapons, I think, and like your weapons have talents, I guess. But the whole thing was like PvP because you have towns and you have areas and regions that certain factions and guilds can own, and you can tax other people. But the game like had this many people playing, and then just immediately fell because there was bugs that include unlimited gold duping that required them to shut down the entire auction house. Just like crazy stuff like that. And now the game's like, no one talks about it. No one talks. It's been out less than 8 months, I think. It's dead. Like, no one talks about it. None of the big streamers are playing it, and they quit playing it a month after it came out because it's just
that just goes to shows what some bad publicity can do to your game, right? Like at the end of the day, you need to catch a wave, and you have to be able to ride the wave.
It's not just it's like how you handle it, and plus the mobs in the game all look similar. The end game super boring. Like, it's kind of like what happened with Diablo 3, where you beat Diablo in Diablo 3, then what? Nothing.
Well, I mean, that was a single player game for sure. That was meant to have a conclusive end.
Yeah, but they had the online mode, and people wanted to do more than just beat Diablo and then do nothing. So they introduced rifts and all this stuff, which made it have an end game. Because it's like, wow, what's the end game? Well, you can farm, you can do raid, you can do PvP, you can do arena. And in New World, it's like, what's the end game? Farm nonstop and go to war.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I mean, but that's like so, and obviously New World, it tried to be the MMO, right? And I think that's ultimately where we're going with this conversation. So maybe we just kind of piece it together in this case. So what elements of an MMO are like the must-haves, and what do you think the overall end goal of what an MMO should like try to accomplish is?
End goal, have an end game. That's what happened,
right?
Like to SWTOR. You got to the highest level in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Online, and there was nothing to do, and it's an MMO. Like, there was no raids or nothing, and like the end is just have something to do for people, because if there's nothing to do when you reach the max level, people are gonna stop playing. People are just gonna stop playing because there's nothing to do, or if the things that you have to do. Like in New World, another bug was when you go to war, you're supposed to stand on a flag to try and like capture the point to whether you win the war or lose the war. There was a bug where if you like sat down and healed or something, you wouldn't die. So people would just go stand on the flag and not die. So the war would never end. And it's like, if you're going to have an end game where people play with each other or combat each other, make sure it works.
Right. Well, so, I mean, if you just want to be point blank about PvP in general, if you're trying to do PvP, you have to have a rating system. Like, you can't have a PvP system. You can't have PvP be a core aspect and not have a way for players to be better than other players. That's the way you make an end game engine. That it's self-sustaining. Yep. It's self-profitizing, right? Because then you get to see the best of the best play. I'm talking about if you take that out of the element, because I think a truly successful MMO can't just be PvP.
No.
I think that's already a solved system. That doesn't need elaboration. What we need to figure out is how do we capture that feeling of like, damn, dude, I'm invested in this and I'm willing to put in that time to make it to the end game because the end game's worth it. Right? Like, what makes the end game worth it is where I'm trying to get. And for me personally, just playing WoW, like, I never made it to the end game because the grind was too fucking long. And if they had found a way to make it shorter for me, I may have been more enticed, as long as it didn't take away the difficulty of the game. That's what I liked about it. If I had to kind of think from my own perspective, if I had quest lines that were just challenging, like if every basic quest was basically an elite level quest, I think that might be really engaging for a player base because it forces coordination and it forces team play, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I can see that.
I just don't know how you can get through the desire to want to be a solo, right?
I think we're trying to solve a problem that billion-dollar companies are trying to solve, and they can't even fucking figure it out.
Yeah, but we're the players. They're big money, right? Like, what is it that you want? What do you want out of your game, right? Like, that's the question you have to
There's
ask.
an absolutely evil way to do it, and that would
Go
be
ahead.
merge the MMO model, the old MMO model, with the new mobile model, and have it. You can only do so many quests or instances per day, and then you can pay to have that cap lifted, and then boom, dopamine hits and money.
Interesting.
No, I understand what you're saying.
That's consumer unfriendly, but
Yes.
it's a good model for creating a lucrative game.
That's very true.
Would addict people.
But
So
see,
that's
for
not
me,
answering your question, is it? We're talking about
no.
Yeah, I'm
It's
talking about
relevant.
gameplay. Yeah, I'm talking about gameplay design.
That is a gameplay design. Limiting
No,
the amount of stuff
that's
you
a
can
marketing
do.
design. That's a marketing design.
Limit how much I can do, so then
the
that
meta.
way,
Yeah,
when
like
I can
the meta
do it,
design.
I'm doing
That's
it.
true.
You know, so
Yeah.
for me, I just, it's hard because for me, it's the community. And I'm not like super big into communities, but I like to be able to just randomly shoot the shit with people. But also when I'm playing the game, if it's just like even the combat, if the combat's fun, I'm having fun. If the combat's cool, I think it's cool. But it, like Lost Ark does that well. The combat's pretty cool. It's Diablo style combat, which I like Diablo. So it's like, if give me something to look forward to. Like in WoW, every 2 levels, I get something. I get skills. What are those skills? I can look it up, but most of the time I'm like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to get. I want to hit that level because then I can do more damage, or maybe I'll get something new that's really cool. You know, it's like, don't just feed me everything. Like,
To kind of build on that, this is actually the next part of the key point that I want out of my game is I want variability, first of all. But not just variability. I want viable variability, and I want necessary variability. I want to have the situation where a paladin tank is really vital because it does mass AoE clear and can group minions together, compared to a warrior tank, which is best at like 1v1 big boss fights, right?
Correct.
And that those level of like different skill sets that make strategy good while still being viable across the board is really important to me. And
that's in a raid setting that you're talking about, right? Or a dungeon?
Exactly. A dungeon setting, and even if you wanted to take it to the PvP level, right? Like, you have different specs of things that you're trying to accomplish, right? But it's not a, hey, I'm the meta and this is how it has to be played, because the balancing for the abilities is really well done.
That's how WoW
right?
Arena is right now. There's metas for everything. But and like WoW in game and Shadowlands, because I did a little bit, and on BFA I was a top player in BFA in the United States, and it's just like there was a spec to be. If you weren't that spec as a DPS or a healer, you weren't in Mythic rating.
Right.
If you weren't doing this, your DPS was just shit. So it didn't matter. So you have to be this. Whereas in like Classic, it's like, listen, I'm a ret paladin. I know I'm not going to top the meters, but I still bring something to the table. Blessing.
Yes.
Lay on hands. Blessing of protection. Hand of freedom. It's like, I'm not the top DPS, but I still provide something. And like same with TBC. It's like, you're not the best spec, but you still provide something to the group. So it's like, that stuff is cool. It's like playing chess with your raid group and where you're positioning everybody. But nowadays it's like, just go in and do the mechanics and win.
Right.
So Thomas, can you tell me more about how it's like you can do single player basically most of the instances?
Yeah, so basically the way that the game is designed is that it's scale. Yeah, Lost Ark.
Lost Ark. What did I say?
You just didn't say it in game.
Yeah, we were just making sure we're on the name.
We're talking about Lost Ark. Yep.
Yeah. So Lost Ark, all of the scaling is the same way it is in Diablo, where if you're in a party, the dungeons get harder and they drop better gear. But if you go into a dungeon by yourself, it scales downwards, so it's not going to just stomp you into the dirt. So you can clear the whole dungeon yourself if you'd like. You just won't be able to get the top of the line stuff as easy.
That part I don't know. I'm not keyed in on, because Lost Ark uses item levels like WoW does. I don't know I don't know if doing it solo compared to a group gives you better item level, but you can like Asmongold's done everything. Asmongold's on in-game content, and he's done everything by himself. He hasn't grouped up with anybody once.
That's my kind of MMO, man.
Like, and see, as I've gotten older, I like to do stuff by myself too, but I understand that like some things you just can't do by yourself. You just have to group with people because it's an MMO.
And is it completely granular? Can you do it with just 2 people, and then it scales to that? All right.
Because in Lost Ark, the biggest thing about Lost Ark is there's a tank and there's healers, but they're not true tanks or healers where they heal and tank all the time. The biggest thing in Lost Ark for clearing content is don't get hit. That's the biggest thing. Don't get hit. Just don't get hit. That's how you clear the content, is by just not taking damage. So it's less like, oh, the tank and the healer and stuff like that. It's learn the boss mechanics and don't get hit, and you'll clear it. But I just don't know if if the solo and the group provides better item level differences, or if it's the same.
Yeah, it doesn't say in here. I've looked at a couple of different articles, but I thought that was how it worked.
I don't know for sure, because I'm like level like 10, or no, you start off at level 10. Sorry, I'm like level 17 or 18. I haven't gotten to a dungeon yet, as far as I know. I got a horsey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like literally just in the very basic beginning part of it, so I'm not up to like
the biggest
any crazy
thing with
level
Lost
of it.
Ark for me too is like, it's called like a ping chaser. You just look at your map and you follow the pings.
Yeah.
It's not like, it doesn't encourage you to explore stuff and go and talk to people like RPGs do. Like, I'm playing Final Fantasy IX on my PSP, and those types of games, you're encouraged to talk to everybody. Same with Pokemon games. You're encouraged to talk to everybody, because sometimes they'll give you useful information, or they'll give you an item, or they'll just, they'll do one of those things. But in like this, in Lost Ark, it's like, go here. Okay, now go there.
It's a grind fest for sure.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't encourage you to talk. Like in WoW, I had no idea where the fuck to go. I would just go around asking people for help, and just talking to NPCs to see, because like because I came from Diablo 2 to WoW, and to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to do. And Lost Ark doesn't really encourage you to do that. It's like for you to go off and do that yourself, but it's telling you to go here. It's saying you need to go do this. So it's a secondary to talk to the townspeople or explore.
Mm-hmm.
It's all flavor.
What's that?
It's all flavor if you do, right? The townspeople have anything to say.
Like, old Japanese RPG players are going to talk to everybody.
Yeah, that's what. So in my playthrough right now, Oliver walked in on me when I just started, so he was watching me play, and so we're reading every dialogue and going through super slow, and it's super cheese, like, honestly, but I don't really care. I'm having a good time with it, and it's something new. It's really the truth. The abilities look cool for the meantime. I will probably get bored of it and stop playing it like I do with every MMO, but for the meantime, I'm gonna ride with it until I get bored.
What class? I guess that's what they're called. Class?
You have classes. So I'm playing the martial artist right now. He's like the monk class, and that's kind of one thing too, is that the different class systems with the different specs they have is pretty unique. At least I guess not unique necessarily, but
confusing a little.
I wouldn't even say confusing. I think they have good flavor for the different subclasses. Like every subclass looks and does feel different.
Yeah.
Which off of their base class.
But if you don't
look
it
really
up,
cool.
Like I wanted to play a healing class, and I'm like, okay, I see sorcerer. I didn't know that a sorcerer turned into a bard that has somewhat healing, but then you can also pick a DPS sorcerer. And I'm like, wait a minute. What?
This is less of a supporty healing game and more of a hack and slasher, though.
Yeah, I agree. But I wanted to play the class that had a healing ability, which the bard does. So when I first loaded up, I'm like, how do I play a healing class? I had no fucking idea, how to even get to that point. So I had to look up how to do that, because I didn't understand subclasses. Final Fantasy 14 is even worse. Oh my god, that game class system is like a book. because you can interchange your class. Like you have your class and then you have your subclass, but there's other subclasses. And then once you hit like a certain point, you can start working on those other subclasses and interchange all of them. So
It's like D&D.
yeah, it's confusing. It's because it's not laid out for you like right there. Like WoW, it's like you have your 3 talent trees back in original WoW. You can go Frost, Shadow, or you go Disc, Holy, and Shadow, and you can read what they do. And then when you open up your spell book, it tells you what is part of what. So you kind of understand, if I go Shadow, I'm going to use these spells. If I go Disc, I'm going to use these spells. But in Lost Ark, it does not tell you that. It's like, this or this. This. Oh, well, that one heals somewhat and uses magical notes. Oh, okay. It's not very apparent. It's not like you pick the sorcerer. As you level up, you pick your talents to go into bard or offensive. You pick that from the get-go.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, I resemble it a lot to like Diablo 3, where yes, you can be mid-maxy and have the perfect set and abilities, but honestly, you're going to kill everything anyways because it's not a super challenging game. So it doesn't matter what abilities you pick. It just matters that you have a rotation order that you stick by, because that's how you're going to deal optimal DPS.
Yeah.
And that can just be simple as like, look at the seconds of your abilities and count them off so you can have a good rotation, right?
And learning what's casting, what's instant, because in Lost Ark you get animation stuck.
Animation canceling, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas like in WoW, like tab targeting, you could stop that animation and do something else. In this, it's like if you stop the animation, it just, you get stuck in it and you can't do anything else in that moment. And it feels kind of weird to me. But that's me.
But that's like intended, right? That sounds
yes.
I like crunchy mechanics like that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It has a combo system to it too, where certain abilities are like, you have to press the button 3 times in this specific order and stuff like that, which is like, it makes it almost fighting game-esque, which is really unique. And I'm not sold yet, but I am intrigued. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it does get you in that animation stuck where you're like, I'm doing my sick move and now I'm only walking forward, but my boss just moved to the left and now I'm stuck like, I'm finishing my move now.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and yeah, exactly. I'm doing like a triple flying kick in this direction, and about halfway through my kick, the boss jumped out of the way.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I see that a lot watching these streams where they're doing their power moves, and then all of a sudden the boss moves, and they're still finishing their power move, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. But I mean, it's super popular for a reason. I think it has like over 700,000 people playing right now, and you have to think this doesn't include South Korea player base, because they don't play it through Steam; they play it through something else. So this is just Steam numbers right now.
Well, and what's honestly more insane to me is like, games like this, whenever they start in South Korea, they usually hit China first. And it just means that this game is like, Twitch does not even do it justice, man. This game is massive.
Yeah,
at all points, because we have over 1 million congruent players playing at once across the world, basically constantly. And that's at all points in the day for the most part.
Yeah. You know, one of the biggest played games
absolutely wild
is this mobile like PUBG game that's in China. It's played more than any other game.
Yeah, well, that's because
it's
mobile
huge.
communities in the Asian cultures is actually, it's almost one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant form of esports.
Yeah, I know they have esports for this shooting game, and it's mobile. It's crazy, because as Americans,
that's why you got to get a good phone, dude. The esports for mobile is coming.
I don't like playing games on my phone, really, to be honest. I
don't mind it that I have a really nice phone, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like having a nice phone because it doesn't lag. I can do all the things I want to do. But, like, playing games, I'll probably play Diablo Immortal when it comes out. I will most likely play that because I've always wanted to... There's, like, hack and slash games, but they're all kind of weird. Like, you have, like, a zone, and then you pick the dungeon. You go through the dungeon. Dungeon 2 unlocks. Not... I can run around wherever I want. The only time you play the game is when you're in like the town setting or in the dungeon setting. And then outside of those is where you do all your gear and stuff. Instead of like running around picking your gear and it. So I don't really like a lot of the hack and slash games that are on mobile.
All right, I'm gonna derail us really quick as well.
Okay.
So for Christmas, it was a late Christmas gift I got, but I am a really big board gamer now too. I love board games. We play the shit out of them here at the house, and the one most recently that we got is Gloomhaven. Have you ever heard of it?
I don't play board games, bro. Hold on, let me look it
Okay,
up.
so Gloomhaven in 2019 won Game of the Year, and it almost won it again in 2020. It is the biggest board game I've ever seen in my entire life. It is a Dungeons and Dragons basically module is essentially what it is. You play as a party up to 4 players, and then you walk through the world, and the map continues to develop the more and more you play it as you go through. Like, it has stickers that change map terrain and all sorts of stuff. But this game is super exciting. It just is a minimum of 4-hour time commitment.
Yeah.
So I'm planning my time, but I'm really excited, man, because I love playing D&D. I'm a big D&Der right now.
I see. I'm looking at like a synopsis, and like buy a copy for $300.
That's what I'm saying, man.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you can get a copy off of Amazon for like a $1.20, but
Jeez.
you must be looking
Wow.
at like a special edition.
Maybe I don't know. It just says eBay listing and Amazon. Amazon's $120.
$150.
And there's like a video game for it too.
Mm-hmm.
So you have
Yeah,
cards
if you look at
and
you have classes, cards. For all intensive purposes, is D&D in a box.
huh. Let me look at images real quick. See how big. Whoa. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a massive game, dude. Like, you're
Holy
spending
moly.
$120, but the box is huge and it's stuffed to the brim.
Holy moly. Yeah, I see all these
It's fun as
pictures of
fuck.
people. Wow. So like you pick your character, I assume, and like some of your attributes, and then you get gear. Do you role play?
Exactly. Yeah, you can role play through it if you want. I'm going to, because hell yeah, role playing's dope. But yeah, I mean, realistically, the only con of it from what I've seen is that your characters are tied to the group that they're a part of. So if I play a character, I can't take that character and then go join somebody else's group, because it changes the way the world works if you are all different levels, apparently, is what I've heard. So you basically have to find a group, play with that group, but you can continuously replay with that group to continue to progress your characters and go along in the
So
story.
your character at the end of the session retains its stuff, and then you start.
Yeah, you get a group player sheet, and on the group player sheet you record your characters, and then as long as all of those group characters are together, then you can continue to play those characters.
Right. Okay, I see. So, and then there's like a dungeon master, I assume that.
Well, so that's what's awesome about it, is that this board game facilitates that itself. It's a self-playing board game, so you don't have a DM that has to run it for you.
Okay, so like everybody kind of plays the DM role in a sense that their character.
In a sense, yeah.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Because I used to play D&D when I was a kid. I role play D&D, so
yeah,
not just play, but role playing played a huge factor in the way that my group did it.
I mean, that's the way to play, man.
It is. It was fun because I always was like, man, I sure hope we get attacked tonight. And the dungeon master would be like, oh, well, let's find out. And then he wouldn't tell us immediately. And then all of a sudden things would bust out of nowhere.
What are your guys' in this type of role-playing topic, what type of role-playing has been your favorite? Like, do you guys have a certain character tropes that you really like or anything along those lines?
I haven't role played since I was a kid. So I
Always
fair
loved the paladin stick in the mud.
Yeah,
What?
dude.
Always the stick in the mud. Rogues hate me.
The lawful good.
Yep. Lawful good paladin's the only way to go. This anti-paladin bullshit is not a thing.
So do you play like a character? Like, do you role play a character that's like, it says no running in the hallway, and you just power walked? You're cutting it close, guy. Is that how you play it?
Your number.
Hail, citizen.
Yeah, I need to be tied up and in the other room if like torture is going to happen or anything close to that.
Okay, so
Damn,
you're like the
dude.
super goody two shoe.
Yep.
Kind of player.
Ultra goody two shoes.
But you bust it out when somebody goes against your morals.
That's right. Every
But
time.
but do you get like so twisted in your morals like the Scarlet Crusade that you start doing crazy shit?
Actually sounds very fun. I don't think I've done that. No, it's been very
Oh.
vanilla Paladin for me.
Okay,
Because I'm not good at role
Yeah.
playing.
So when I
Right.
play Paladin, I like to be the absurd treasure hunter Paladin. Like I go hunt treasure for my god, and he gives me powers to be a badass because
Oh.
I'm treasure hunting for him. So like my favorite one is I play a Triton. His name is oh god, what was his fucking name? Oh, Nesul, Champion of the Sea. And I would get treasure from our boss fights, and I would just go throw it into the middle of the ocean.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome. And you'd be like,
Yeah.
God, grant me new powers.
That's right. He's like, great, you get inspiration for your 1d8 of inspiration. Congratulations. Everybody else is like, you motherfucker.
You motherfucker. That was an upgrade for me, you son of a bitch.
Only Seos can
See-
choose the power and the will of this.
I haven't
But-
done any role playing, so like
Oh man.
I don't know. I'd probably would just play like I'd probably do it as myself at first, and then from there kind of figure out how I would want to play. But I would probably just be the kind of person that's like, we should do the right thing, but sometimes let's not do the right thing. How about that? Let's see where this goes. Or it's like, oh, we should do this. What if we just don't do
Yeah.
that?
I also like playing Scaredy Cat Halfling, man. Scaredy Cat Halfling is super fun.
I don't know what that means.
They're the super like Shaggy from Scooby Doo, except
Yeah.
he's a halfling. He's like terrified of everything because he's 2 foot tall. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
he just sounds like this. And oh my god, I just can't believe we're here right now.
So you play from Demon Slayer, that one guy. Oh my god.
I don't
not
know.
enough.
Halflings are just so fun,
You know
man.
what I'm talking about, Ryan?
Of course.
The kid
The
that
yellow
just-
hair guy.
Yeah, he just cries the whole time.
All he does is cry.
All he
Hell
does
yeah.
is complain.
He's so scared of everything.
But then when he goes to sleep, he turns into a badass.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. I mean, that would be fun, honestly. Maybe we could try that one of these sessions where we're here. Just have like a
One
a
shot?
quick one shot. Yeah, a small one
Dude,
shot
hell
would be
yeah,
fun.
man.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
Some people stream their D&D games and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I have a couple of one shots actually written up and stuff like that. So the big thing about it is that D&D over Discord can be a total pain in the ass because
Yeah.
obviously we can't talk over each other and stuff like that. And combat's exceptionally slow.
Yeah.
But if you guys are more down to play just like a raw role playing session, less like number slinging dice and stuff like that, I don't mind running that.
There's like this game that you play board games on that people create, and I think
Yeah.
someone has a Dungeons and Dragons like
There's a
board
bunch
game.
of them, honestly. There's a what is it? God,
Like,
critical
Tabletop
something.
Simulator?
So
Tip-
this one game is
Tabletop simulator.
Like, yeah, that's it. And like you can do Dungeons and Dragons that way. So then that way, it's less like being physical, and you just do it all through that.
Oh, Roll20 is the other one. Roll20 is really popular as well.
Mm.
That one is one where you can actually buy the D&D books and put them into the actual play area too, which is crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I mean, like I love D&D, man. Role playing, I didn't realize how much I would truly enjoy it until I really started getting into it.
I'm surprised you're not into like Grand Theft Auto 5 roleplay servers.
I never played Grand Theft Auto.
Me either, but I watched GTA 5 RP. So people create characters and they go into the city, and like there's different servers, and they roleplay as a character. And some of them are crazy, some of them are terrorists, some of them are serial murderers, some of them are just like gangsters, some of them are
Jesus.
political. Yeah.
The cops are really fun to watch as well.
Yeah.
What's
the
that?
shitty cops.
Like
Shitty cops.
A lot of them are like on this one No Pixel, the most popular one. Like the cops actually follow like actual California law in the game.
Wow.
And like some of the players are actual real life cops. And so like it's not serious anymore. It used to be, but like the gang members start gang wars and they shoot cops and they do heists and they rob banks and stuff like that. But then some people are just shitlords and they just run around causing havoc. So you can do all sorts of type of stuff like that.
That's a pretty badass title, Shitlord.
Yeah, a shitlord.
That's what, dude. That strikes terror. You know what I mean?
Well, on that server, a shitlord's the guy who comes up to you and just fucking kills you, which is against the rules. So,
Hey, you know what, dude? We don't make the rules. Grand Theft Auto does.
like in that, and like on these servers, if someone pulls a gun on you, you're supposed to fear for your life. You can't just be like, "Aha, I pull a gun on you." It's like, no, in a real life scenario, you would be like, "Oh shit, what the fuck."
Let's talk about this.
Yeah,
Right.
basically. So there's that type of role play, but it seems like you like fantasy role play.
Yeah, I like high fantasy. High fantasy is sci-fi's fun.
High fantasy, bro.
Have you tried any of these Lovecraftian type?
I have. I did a little bit of World of Darkness there for a little bit. I don't like how. I like my games being lighthearted. And like being goofy and silly. You know what I mean? I don't want serious like. I'm down
Yeah.
for serious arcs, but the essence of the game is for me to hang out with my bros and have a good time and laugh and
Yeah.
joke, right? Not to cry.
Today we woke up, the sun blotted out by the plague. You know, shit like that.
Yeah,
Not really into that.
I'm not necessarily.
No, I wouldn't be either. I'd be like, why y'all so serious, bro?
I wouldn't mind
Um,
doing it if I had a group of role players that were like really, really hardcore that were actually committed to it. The problem is that no one is, and it's hard to maintain that weeks and weeks on end. So it's, you know, you have to have a really strict
What's
team,
your
and I
longest
don't want to do that.
D&D like session ever? How many weeks and months?
So my longest playing session, like same group,
Yeah.
we've played since like 2015.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we just recently started falling apart because my one of our lead players, he's moving to Germany, so he's
Oh.
been like clocked out for the last like 3 months. But it was a really long-standing group.
That's cool though.
It was a lot of fun. I just my problem is that you know how I get when it comes to fucking playing games and stuff like that. I got to the point where I realized that my DM didn't know how to run combat. And so me, Jacob, were just mid-maxing, owning all of his boss encounters, and he was
Yeah.
like, "I don't ever want to run combat again."
You're like, dude, you're
You're
doing
like,
it
well,
wrong.
you
I
know,
know how to
you're
exploit it, bro.
yeah. You're like, go read a fucking pre-module, man. They'll tell you how to write a fucking monster encounter. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus. So that's where I was at with it. So I've actually, a part of my one-shots has been they're supposed to be combat-driven, which is why they're better in person. But it's, I mean, it's a good time, dude. I've written some dark stuff. I've written, the next one I'm writing is like Egyptian temple, like Indiana Jones dungeon diving. So
Oh.
I'm excited for that one because I want to do puzzles and like trap doors and stuff.
That'd be
Hell
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's the
More
kind of
like
stuff I used
investigators,
to
you know.
like. That's the stuff I would always hope something would happen to make it interesting,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like, oh, we go to sleep. No,
On
we
that
start an
one,
adventure.
if you guys, if we're actually serious about trying to run this on over Discord, I could write that one to be less combat intense too, because that one I want to be more like mystery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So-
We could always dive into the idea later and try it without
try it,
recording and
yeah.
see how it goes, and then actually like go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm ready to wrap this up. Are you guys?
I was
Getting
I was
late for
thinking about
me.
the same thing. So.
Yeah, or at least stop the recording. So,
hmm
I don't know if our name's still stuck in stone, but we're figuring that out.
Honestly, I really like the ZTR. Like ZTR looks good as an
Yeah.
acronym. And we don't even need to drop the NB at the end of that. It's just ZTR. Like, I don't know if you looked at the font list that I dropped there, but
No.
like that's just a starting point. Yeah, in the Discord I dropped in.
See it.
Let me see here. Did I drop it?
No,
Thought I
I don't
posted
see
it.
it.
Oh, motherfucker. Okay, I thought I did. Here, I'll drop it right now. There you go. So this is just like I googled this 2 seconds ago. I looked up a couple of other fonts, but we could try to get some custom font from like Fiverr,
yeah.
which wouldn't be bad. But you know what I mean? Like do something along these lines. I figured more
got a
kind of like bold.
I got a 404, nothing found.
Yeah, I did too. But
Really?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop the
Oh,
recording.
I'm an idiot.
I'm gonna stop the recording now. So,
Okay. There we go.
I doubt anyone's gonna watch
There
this.
it is.
So
Jesus, what the
goodbye,
fuck.
goodbye, people who don't exist.
Hey everybody,
sure.
thanks for
Hey,
tuning
I
in,
fucking
and we'll
love
see
you.
you on the next one.
Yeah, with the name maybe
Right.
that we have actually put in stone.
We're the ZTR, baby.
The ZTR.
ZTR pod.
what did the Power Rangers do?
Zoltan.
I don't know what they do anymore, but okay, I'm stopping. Bye-bye.